Ready to go!
Alrighty, ladies and gents, welcome to another breakdown episode. This one coming as per your requests. It is, of course, none other than Devon Larratt up against Todd Hutchings. Okay, Devon Larratt, no limits, the man known for the hand control and now a king's move, against the side pressure king himself, the man who doesn't care where his hand and wrist goes. He simply wants to drive sideways. Now, this match, of course, was shrouded in controversy. After this match was completed, the talk of the town was running hot that Devon Larratt got away with one. Now the question is, did he get away with one? This was one of the first times we saw Devon Larratt attempt to use a king's move in professional competition, and it was, let's be honest, it was unlucky, I think, on Todd Hutchings' behalf, which we will dig into that a little bit in a moment. I was actually at the event, so I'll share with you, when we watch this footage, I'll share with you my thoughts and perspectives of what I saw on the night. If you're wondering where I am in the crowd, you can see me standing next to Alex Beziazkov from Arm Wrestling TV in the background, just behind Devon Larratt. But anyway, let's have a look at the match and let's break down these controversial moments that happened and see if it could have potentially changed the result. Anyway, let's have a look at the match. All right, Devon Larratt on the left, Todd Hutchings on the right. In the straps, round one. The side pressure from Todd Hutchings. I see a pin right there. I see another pin right there. Another pin. Another pin. Another pin. None of them called. And there's the height regathered by Devon Larratt. Now Todd Hutchings blocking at center but unable to get close to another pin. Devon Larratt gaining height and control, waiting for the bleed to happen on Todd Hutchings. Devon Larratt patiently looking. There's the climb. As Todd looks to get height, Devon Larratt takes the height off him, gaining a better regrip than Todd. Todd returns to the side pressure. Devon happy to be patient, dropping down to that king's move again there. And there we go, standing up now, both of them. And the high hook is set and the press transition in place. Todd Hutchings lifts his elbow and it's all done. Now, we're going to have a look at that again. That was in real time. We saw that. We're going to have a look at it again at the moments where the pins were. Now, what are the controversial things about this? Okay, there's a couple of controversial things about this. One of them is that straight away, the WAL pin pads are quite low. That's across the board for all WAL matches, but they are lower than pads you'll find on a Combat Arms Sports table or on a Mazarenko table. They're a touch lower. And of course the elbow pads are very tall. They're quite balloony and they have a fair bit of height to them. So what that translates to, and what we see here, is that when Devon gets down to that essentially straight arm position, and I actually don't think when Devon's in that defensive position, I don't think he's fouling from memory. I'll have a look again, but I don't think the head of his humerus drops below the elbow end when he's in that desperate sort of right at the finish line sort of moment. So I don't think there was necessarily a foul there, but it just kind of highlights how it really should have been a pin, no matter what. That really should have been a pin. I actually do remember talking with Devon after this. Like I said, I was at the event hanging out with him afterwards. I think he will even happily admit, and did admit at the time, that, yeah, well, it looks like a pin. But at the end of the day, the athletes must carry on, and the athletes must go by the ref's call. I do think this was a harsh one. So let's have a look at it again and see if there were pins. I think I counted five pins from my perspective. Here we go. Let's look at it again. Okay, I see a pin there. Where I paused that to me looks like a parallel pin. It's not touching. If we'll see it from another perspective, it's not touching, but I believe that's a parallel pin. You can see the humerus of Devon, perfectly legal. So he's happy to fight on. I see another pin there. I see another pin there. Like, what defines a pin is it's meant to be anywhere from the wrist, any part of the hand from the wrist up, if it breaks that pin line. And I know camera angles are a little funky, but I think the camera angle here is slightly high relative to the pin pad. So therefore, it's not good for Devon. Like, if the camera went down just maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 centimeters to be level with that pin pad exactly, then I think we would see a pin for sure. It is surprising that no one called this on any of those occasions. The first surge, I think it was a pin. I think this is the second surge. Let's keep watching. There's another one. Look at that. That's the third pin by my count. Fourth pin. There we got a fourth one. And now Devon is about to drop into the King's move. Now for Devon, he's going to do that to get some height. I think we're about to see Devon drop his body and use the rotation through the shoulder and rotation through the hand to gain height. Let's watch it. Yep, gains a bit of height there. Now, again, humorous angle there. Probably level right now. I don't think that's a foul yet, but I think it's as far as he can go. So it's pushing the boundaries, but that's arm wrestling. And let's see what happens. And then he gets it into the winning side and his shoulders back. So I don't think a foul there from Devon Larratt, but he definitely, like we said, we've said it plenty of times, he got away with one. Another angle here of it. Let's have a look. Again, so that looks about where the first pin was. Again, this angle makes it look better for Devon Larratt, but we're coming from quite a high angle now, so it's difficult to see. But this shows you the humorous angle of Devon quite well. Also, tricky stuff. He holds it down there for a long time, does Todd Hutchings, and very unlucky not to get a call. Like, there's not much more he can do there. There really isn't. And then the King's move comes out and the height is gathered from Devon. All right, so before we go on to the second round, a few things about that first round. That first round for me, had the very first surge have been called a pin for Todd, it changes the whole landscape of rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, however many there might be. For the obvious reason that Todd's much more fresh. Todd's first surge, he contained the pronation of Devon. Todd kicked his wrist back and was happy to drive with his pushing style side pressure that Todd has so much of, and he gets a pin. Let's say he gets that first pin. Round 2 is going to look very different because round 2, Todd won't have the work on his arm and hand that he now does. Todd spent a lot of time under that extra tension that he perhaps shouldn't have been. So I think round 2 would have looked very similar to round 1. It's like oh my goodness. It's a bit of a robbery, but like I said, you can't blame the athletes. I can't blame Devon Larratt. I can't blame anyone. It's the ref's call, and they didn't call it. I'd like to have seen them call it, but they didn't. Anyway, round 2. Let's have a look what happens. All right, Devon looking for the hook this time. He feels like he's put enough work into Todd's arm that he can control the center of the table, but here we are in the hook. Todd Hutchings too strong, and Devon Larratt forced to have to go to the King's move again. So Devon Larratt would have been sensing that he wasn't going to win that bleed battle, and he's back into the King's move, similar to the first round. No pins here from Todd this time. The humorous angle from Devon is borderline again. There might have been a couple of dips, but it's hard to tell where the hand is at the moment. Center. I think Devon's hand has the pronation, so he's probably on the winning side already slightly. Standing back up, inviting Todd to stand back up. Devon feeling like he's got the control again, but Todd Hutchings not happy to say die. Devon Larratt looking in control, but Todd inviting him to pin him, and Devon can't yet. The hook power of Todd Hutchings is still there. Devon momentarily going back to the King's move, dragging, pronating, climbing now. Todd losing his wrist entirely. Todd without a flop press up his sleeve has got nowhere to go, and Devon Larratt transitions to the press for the win and 2-0. Interesting stuff there. Let's have a look at that replay one more time. The really interesting things about this round for me as it plays here was that Todd was able to win in the hook. It's a very interesting thing there. Devon set the hook by his choice, but the side pressure, the relentless side pressure of Todd forced Devon to go to that King's move. And from there, he gasses the hand. And what I like also is that there comes that moment where he actually goes back into the hook again. Devon, having bled the hand of Todd Hutchings, creates the opportunity where he eventually stands back up and gets all the pronation, all the control, and Todd lays his arm down as though, all right, pin me in a hook. He kind of concedes that center table battle, which is coming up right now. And Todd says, okay, we'll go for it, pin me. And Devon Larratt can't top roll him, so he steps forward to go with side pressure right here. It's coming up, there it is. And still the arm power of Toddzilla. Incredibly impressive. But the hand has been fully compromised by this stage. Devon Larratt with that regrip and reclimb. Once the wrist is back, he then has the ability to apply that full amount of side pressure and the transition completely into the press. Alrighty, round 3 about to come up. Watch for it, it's going to be a quick one. Devon Larratt smelling blood in the water, looking for the kill. Pronation, back pressure, transition to the press. Let's have a look at it again in the slow motion. You'll see it there. Devon Larratt initiates. He's got his shoulder forward, but he initiates with back pressure and a solid pronation. And then sideways drive gives him access to the down pressure and the shoulder roll to finish the match concisely. 3-0 Devon Larratt. Job done. But not without its fair share of controversy. Now, of course, as I was saying, this match... it's a difficult one. I think Todd Hutchings would love ultimately to have a rematch opportunity under the WAL, maybe make those pin pads standard height, or at least get the referees being more willing to call those early pins. I do think it could have changed the match. Interestingly, I actually spent time with Todd Hutchings and Devon Larratt on this trip in Pittsburgh. I actually was at Todd's house for a couple of days before and drove to the event with him. And then I drove with Devon back to Canada after the match. So I got a good chance to kind of get inside their brains. And as I said, Devon was cool about it being called like a dodgy call. I think, pretty sure he agrees it should have been called. And it would have affected the match, but hey, it's the way it goes with referees sometimes. And Todd Hutchings actually was took it very well also. He made comments to the effect of that at the end of the day, it all balances out with your referees. And he did cheekily say the more famous you are, the more it tends to balance out, or the sooner it tends to balance out. But anyway, I do think Todd will get his chance to have that rematch at some point in the WAL should the season get back up and running. It's a great match every day of the week. Would Devon try the King's move again? Would Devon stay tall and high hook like he used to? I'm not sure. It did look very fascinating, and I would personally love to see it once again. Alright guys, thank you so much for this recommendation on the breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video, please share it, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you again next time.
Yeah, that's a man!